What's up, everybody? It's Joe Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneakers Show. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, my two friends. First off, to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Here we are. Yep.
Happy Halloween.
I guess.
I thought you were going to dress up as Winnie the Pooh.
No.
What?
Yeet? Are you going to be Yeet? To my left.
Where is this coming from?
Is
there a joke I'm missing?
No, I just made it. Imagine him as Winnie the Pooh sitting right here. Or Yeet. Old generation, new generation costumes. To my left.
I'm going Eeyore.
Mr. Deep voice. Eeyore had the deep voice. Mm-hmm. To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunne.
What if I dress up as Joe Puma?
I mean, that'd be cool.
I was at a college football game this past weekend, and some guy's walking up the stands, and he stops.
About me?
Is
this about me?
And he
dressed
goes,
up as Brendan Dunne?
It's kind of about you. He kind of walks by, and then I'm like, I could tell that guy knew what was up.
Yeah,
and,
he knows.
He
stops. The stare. We're like,
and then he comes
don't be
back
shy. Just come over. Take a picture in the student. I'm sure you get student VIP
at the
section.
Oregon-Utah game.
I thought he was going to ask if you dressed up as Brendan Dunne for Halloween.
So here's the punchline. He taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "Are you the dude from sneaker shopping?"
Okay, sort of. Sometimes they get their complex content lines crossed.
We did have a sneaker shopping episode.
Yeah, once upon a time. In those instances, I have to say, or it happens often, someone will go, "Yo, Welty, what's up?" I never correct them. I'm like, "Yeah, for sure.
Same.
Thank you. Yeah."
Same.
Yeah.
So I told him I'm the guy, from sneaker shopping. That's me, Brendan Dunne.
I'm happy to share the title with you. Happy to share it with you. How we doing? Halloween? You going trick-or-treating today? Oh, hold on. As the super, I'm sure you have an assortment of candy outside. You did a little please take one.
Bowl? Yeah.
I don't know, but as a super, I have to leave the office at 3 o'clock today to go open up the basement so the guy can fix the boiler.
Oh wow, that one totally not fun. Okay.
You gonna give him some candy when he
That's the reality of
Throw
it.
him a Milky Way when you're down there, you know?
How are you, Joe? You're coming off a big week. Because they shouted you out on the sneakers app.
Shouts to my man Jinx. I didn't see it, but I'm still waiting for
Big
you.
JLP shoe.
Yeah. Listen, it's a win for all of us. You got, you coined the big JLP shoe.
Welty coined it. Give him the credit.
Shouts to Jinx. It was on the all black Terra Umara, I believe.
The
but
Nike
I'm
sneakers
still waiting for the clip. Here's what's funny. This guy has access to every document from 1987 to 2025 for Nike. I've been waiting for the clip of Jinx shouting me out for 5 days. Nowhere to be found. That wasn't in LexisNexis, or that wasn't
not delivered to me in the dossier.
Wait, we didn't. Wait, hold on. What is it? From documents we viewed at Complex, we didn't get the clip viewed at Complex. I'm still waiting. But shouts to Jinx.
I was in Salt Lake. I did not see it live. I've been begging people at Nike to send me a clip.
Not even a screen record.
Send me the clip.
We need it, please. Won't do anything. We won't do anything with
Nefarious.
it. I just want it. But yeah, shouted me out.
And that was an exciting moment because there were a lot of 2024 sneakers previewed in there.
Yes, and some big JLP shoes.
Okay, what do you like from that? What do you like from that, Joe?
Here's the one that stuck out to me. Pink Sundermax.
I knew that from the start.
Was it a women's colorway or men's?
I'm not sure.
I think
so. I'm not sure either.
Doesn't matter, baby.
Size 13. The Pink Sundermax.
That's the one for you?
Yes. There's a neon green one.
Isn't it the OG yellow?
The OG yellow. So basically I tweeted, I'm getting in, maybe I'll get back. I tweeted like the eye emojis for, I think it was the yellow Sundermax. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the pink one and I was like, no, that's the one. Your boy in 2024 going to be rocking the hot pink Sundermaxes?
Very possible.
You're wearing a pink Burberry hat right now, so it's not really a stretch.
At all, you know?
Got the fit ready to go. Welty, did you see anything in the group that you like?
Oh, that's the best question.
So, here's my takeaway.
Let's go.
I already know that this guy to my left, he's gonna get the royal foam posit and he's gonna crush it. Right?
Now this is a classic Welty Brendan challenge because
I feel like I could just see him.
Thank you.
I could just see him.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for believing me.
I can.
I can see it, but also
he gonna do some business
Paint
on
the
top.
picture.
Business on top. Maybe some slack, like human made slacks, or some not parachute pants, but
don't
the
let
nylon
Jim Jones catch me with the khakis.
And then those royal blue foam posits, they're just gonna be standing out like he's in Harlem.
Welty, counterpoint.
So as it's been said on the show before,
Yeah.
Brendan Dunne infamously in college used to try to clown on people for wearing like Weatherman foam posits.
No, not Weatherman. Other penny shoes.
Okay. They were there in the penny fives and the half cents and all that sort of stuff. And Brendan's
Well, the half cent.
well,
Not
whatever.
the best shoe. Go
Not
on,
the
sorry.
best. Sorry.
Brendan's like, little do you know, I have this back in the closet, but I've never worn it.
In my head, I would say that. That
Yeah.
was my internal
Yeah, yeah,
dialogue.
yeah.
I would never confront someone in real life about their footwear.
So you had all the heat foam posits back in the day,
Yes,
but you didn't wear any of
this
them.
is true.
Okay.
But you still flexed in your head that you had them.
Am I allowed
What's wrong with that?
Just in my head internally? Is that allowed?
Well, I feel like in today's day and age,
Hmm.
it's more you can be a flex and be like, oh yeah, I have this, this, and this, right? And it's stuff that you've never worn, but it's just the idea that you have like Freddy Krueger dunks or
Yeah.
something crazy, right? I'm just throwing like shoes out, like, oh, though that guy's a huge collector, he has it. But in that era of sneakers, like 2011 per se, or whatever year this was, I feel like you had to actually wear your stuff for people to kind of recognize you
Fair
as
enough.
a sneaker collector, unless you were on Nike Talk and then you were known by a bunch of people that like didn't exist in real
Wow.
life at the
He's
time.
pulling your card right
That's
now.
fair enough. That's fair.
He's pulling. Okay,
But isn't it kind of cool though to think about? This is like totally off topic, but there was that era where it's like to show your sneakerheadness, you actually had to wear your sneakers out in public and get like
Because there were less social media avenues to
Yeah.
flex them and talk
Yeah.
about them. I know what you mean.
yeah.
Different times. But
Sorry, back to the sneakers.
yes,
Yes.
I want to promise you right now, Welty, I'm going to get those royal blue foam posits and I'm
Yes.
going to wear them.
yeah,
Okay.
They
I
look
can
good.
see it.
Tailored to OG specs, like a lot of this stuff in here in this
What
preview.
about the eggplants?
Eggplants, I need less,
Same.
and the early renderings of them didn't look how I wanted them to look. I didn't get a close look at them from this sneakers preview, but the Royals are the one for me.
These Royal foam posits. Do I think I'm going to get them? I don't know. Do I envision a Saturday morning that sometimes I just want to remind you, we do this, getting a pair. Maybe I go to the go get a coffee. Maybe I'm doing some errands and I bring out the Royal foam posit.
You
Just
think you
don't,
might?
Don't ever forget. Don't ever forget. That's what it
I mean,
is
this
a little
is a fun
bit.
moment because it's like we love sneakers, we love buying
Yeah.
shoes, we love getting shoes. Welty, what about?
All right, here are my takeaways.
Okay,
As
please,
I
please,
thought
please,
about
yes,
it.
yes.
Okay, I do think it is the Thunder Max to me is the one.
Even for you,
Yeah, those are like the best shoes of the bunch,
Yep.
right? Like, okay, Royal Foam Posits is going to be the one that there's the most hype around.
yeah, biggest one.
Yeah. Or people will be like, oh, I've been waiting for that to come back. Thunder Max, we've seen kind of this weird slow burn of, and I will tip the hat to people like Joe and people like Yachty. Sometimes I don't think that like someone breaking out a random shoe on Instagram really matters that much, but it feels like Nike, the reason why they did retro this shoe is because you and Yachty had talked about it for the past. Yeah, no, I'm being on. I'm not being facetious. I'm
Yeah,
being
yeah.
Appreciate you.
But
honest.
Joe's
that
being humble and saying
the
he doesn't
reason
believe
why
that's the
this
case.
shoe's coming back out is because the two of you had talked about it, and it seems like the right time frame because you've been talking about it for the past 3 or 4 years. The shoe's coming out now, so I feel like that's the reason why they decided to dive into the archive. They actually did release the Thunder Max, I think, like in 2009 or something like that, but it didn't have the right air bubble on it. It was a weird like mashup shoe.
Okay.
So that's the one. But we're also in this era.
Sean Weatherspoon also. I got to throw in that.
Okay.
Okay.
He was writing for the Thunder Max.
Yes.
We're in this era where Nike's past few years have been predicated off of rinsing their classics, and they saw all the other brands rise by doing something different. So this to me felt like Nike's big unveiling of. I know the Vomero was big for them in the past couple of years, but they're like, hey, we saw that everyone wants different shoes. Here's our collection of different shoes.
Interesting. So you saw this group as a reaction from Nike to the rise of smaller brands and more diverse silhouettes, and Nike reminding people we have this wide archive. Let's show you some other stuff.
Yes, why would they make a big announcement? And of course, there's like foam posits and there's like a few dunks per se, but there's the Ultraman, or is it Ultraman or reverse?
I would call it the Ultraman, but
Okay.
some people would call it reverse. We had this conversation internally a few months ago, right?
Yeah, there's actually a store across the street that just opened up that sells Ultraman figures. If you want to go check it out.
I know where we're headed after this.
Yeah,
A little boys trip.
yeah. But you see everything in here. You have the clog posit or the clog posite, which our friend Edison Chen referred to it as. Did you think that shoe would come back?
The clog posit?
Yeah.
I guess it's just weird enough to where we're at that point where
It totally
kinda
fits
makes
within
sense.
today's.
Yeah.
Totally Bottega, Veneta, clogs.
It was not a love
Amaze
shoe
doing
by
a lot
any
of them.
means when
Yeah.
it first came out. Kind of people, it was almost like a what the heck, Nike, you actually made this shoe.
Yeah. Welty, does the Air Max 186 in royal blue do anything for you? Big bubbles?
Okay, it's cool to see that shoe coming back,
Yeah.
and I would love to have another pair again, but I don't want to be naive to think that that shoe is not going to go on sale like it has every other time that it's released.
The white blue Air Max 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Or
sleeper?
Air Max 180, sorry.
Oh, no. Sorry, I was talking about the Air Max 1.
That's a women's.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I
thought
said Air Max 186 because that's the name of the big bubble, you know.
got you. I thought you meant the Air Max 180.
Okay.
in the-
Fair enough.
Air Max 1,
You don't care. White, blue Air Max 1.
not as much. I mean, maybe.
I want to see that new Air 180, the ultramarine colorway, and
Yeah.
see how they look in person. Because that's another one where I don't think they've ever worked really hard to do remastered is the word they would use for Jordans, but kind of reshape and redevelop the shoe to be closer to the original. So I want to see what those look like in person, especially because 180s often look quite cheap, right?
They have it's like has a weird toe spring
Yeah.
to it sometimes. Blue, it's cool that there is the OG blue Air Max 1 Big Bubble coming out, but I totally forgot that I even have the white and red ones, and I think I've worn that shoe one time.
My sleeper favorite is the ACG Tour Mid. I think it looks great
Yeah.
with that. Like,
Of course, you already knew that was coming because
Because
we
Brent-
leaked that months ago.
I'm kind of surprised
Duh.
that given the whole rise of like outdoory stuff, which we're going to be talking about a lot in this episode anyways, that Nike didn't lean more into ACG over the past few years. I know you're a big fan of the Mountain Fly,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like the Mountain Fly really satisfies the market's want for these outdoor shoes. It just doesn't fit. There's something about that model that doesn't really like check the boxes for the trend. I feel like this shoe, the Torre,
I like it.
is much more. But the Mountain Fly I do like is the Dornbecker Mountain Fly
I'm
Low.
surprised to hear that. I'm surprised to hear you like any Dornbecker shoe.
That's a very PNWS
Nice.
shoe.
Okay.
And I think the shoe was co-done by, sorry, I don't know her name, Sneaker Prof on Instagram, who was at the,
Elizabeth Brock Jones, Nike
Yes.
developer responsible for the original Off-White to 10, and someone who Tinker Hatfield called one of the most talented developers
wow.
wasn't
he's
she
ever
at
worked
the,
with.
I thought she was at the sneaker school as well. Or am I totally
Yeah,
like,
she
Yeah.
teaches at the Oregon Sports
that-
Product
where we were
Management
at, yeah.
program. Yeah,
yeah.
very talented woman, yes, for sure.
I saw she had posted about that being involved in the Dornbecker
Yeah.
Mountain Fly, which is totally cool shoe.
Joe, there's more Pegasus 2005s in here for you.
I'm okay with my one.
Yeah,
Your CDG?
Yeah.
you're happy with that?
Yeah.
And there's that.
I'm
so
good with that
there's
one.
that other mule shoe.
Yeah.
The ACG one.
The Rufus. You gonna get a pair of Rufuses? We had a
Oh,
dog called
those aren't
Rufus
like
at one
really
point.
house shoes. You don't consider those house shoes, right?
People won't be wearing those in my house.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not house shoes, but they're shoes to like run errands on
Yeah.
the weekend.
You know, my house shoes, the Geiger slippers are great.
Nice.
Black and white with the JG. Geiger, can you do a JLP cursive one? Special makeup.
it's
I know
right
it's your
there.
name. I know it's your name. But yeah, clogs. I don't see myself wearing clogs to run errands.
When when it finally happens,
No, I don't think
you know
so.
he'll be there.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, getting away from Nike for a sec, can we talk about another new model? Because Welty, I know this is a shoe you're very excited about.
Okay.
New Balance 991 V2.
Oh yeah.
Is this one of the best new sneakers of the year?
I think so. I haven't worn the shoe yet, so I feel like that's a big asterisk
Yeah.
on it. This is like a pretty bold declaration,
Okay.
but after this has been building in my head for the past few weeks.
Okay.
When that shoe first came out, I
This
know-
one specifically?
yes. When I saw this shoe, I was like, okay, cool. We saw the Stone Island one. I was like, I like that a lot too.
Not my favorite.
I like it a lot. But seeing the shoe more and more and more and more, personal opinion, this is the best sneaker of the year.
Oh, wow.
This is the sneaker of
Wow.
the year. There's a lot of sneakers.
Personal opinion. He said personal opinion.
Fair.
No, not. This isn't what I think.
It's not
I'm
going to
gonna
be in
put-
Long Beach on that big screen, or
no,
is it?
Not putting.
Okay.
I'm not going to be like. I'm going to rank this as the top 10 shoe of the
Okay.
year. It's just if you
In our
ask.
arguments about sneaker of the year, you're never going to try and put
No,
this out
never
there
going to try to even
Growth.
sneak it in at a number
Okay.
10 on the list.
for Complex's official list.
Nope. Not going to do that. But if you ask me what my personal 10 favorite shoes of the year list, where I'm not having to abide by,
The levels of taste
white
of our
cement
audience.
3s, SB Jordan 4s, which I think those
Tiffany
shoes are great.
Tiffany.
No, not Tiffany Air Force.
But this,
Numero uno.
this is
number one.
You know when you get that feeling and you just something clicks and you know?
Sure.
Yeah, like the Pata TN.
Seeing these on feet,
Who'd you see? Where'd you see him?
just seeing people post it.
Your friends who are New Balance collectors.
Samuel Pierce.
Yeah. Works at the brand.
Works at the brand. Reese, Cake Not Crumbs on Instagram, who works at and Clothing. Just seeing them wear it. They remastered the silhouette. They put the fuel cell technology in it. They did a nod to one of the OG colorways with the color of the little gel.
Really good color.
Really-
That gel is really good. I know it's like
It's such minutia.
yes.
They
Great color
remastered the
block,
shape.
yeah.
It's the first 990 shoe, totally designed in the UK. It's it.
If you're
Look at
happy,
he's
I'm
smiling.
happy. Yeah,
He's
I know.
smiling.
But see,
My boy feels reborn.
Sometimes we get away from this of just enjoying
That's
sneakers.
what I said
you know?
about the foam posit.
Exactly.
Don't ever forget.
Exactly.
Don't ever forget.
You know, we're here to be critical and we're here to respond
That's
to
what I
stuff, but
mean.
also
You-
we're here to be like, damn, those look good.
That's what
There's
I mean
plenty
about
of
the
there's
foams.
plenty of shoes that I like this year, but it kind of goes back to the like if a football team you have a bunch of quarterbacks, but you don't like who's the starting quarterback. If there's not like a definitive like they're the starter.
Tommy DeVito. Oh,
That's how I felt about this year in sneakers. There are a bunch of shoes that I like, but there wasn't one where I was like, that's the one.
Yeah. And this
This is the one.
is the 991.
One.
V2.
V2.
Yeah.
I like that. One of my favorite like things in any situation is like, no, that's not it. That's it. Could apply it to a lot of.
It's like you go to a
lot of
restaurant,
things
you
that-
see a
yes.
bunch of things where you're like, oh, that's all. That
Yeah.
looks all great, but when that one thing sticks out to you,
That's it.
And it's
Like Khaled said, there it is.
the one thing I do feel validated by though is our friend and coworker Zach Dubasic, infamous I don't want to say hater, but not New Balance
we
lover.
could say hater.
Can I say
Zach's
not-
kind of a New Balance hater.
Not New Balance lover.
At least that.
He said that this was a good shoe.
If
Attaboy.
that's not enough,
Hey,
I don't know what is. By the way,
I'm sold.
can I take us back out west for a second?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to Utah. We already went there. Go Ducks. Big win. Easy win.
Saw that.
I was in LA.
You left the tag on the Air Force. I saw that too.
I left the tag on my Off-White Air Force Ones.
Yep.
I was kind of
were you
struggling
doing
with
the
that.
O with the leather gloves?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
had the tag on, and
Oh, we had a big discussion about this before he left. Whether he said he was going to cut the tag off of the shoes.
oh, I didn't hear that.
Joe,
I
do you
saw
leave the tag on your Off-White Nikes?
No,
You cut it off?
I don't cut it off. I
Oh, you can
simply
take it off?
Yeah, yeah. You just take the lace.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh,
Yeah, and then you put it-
okay, got you.
I
got you.
saw him. He had the. Wait, did you have the gloves on at the game? Did you have
It was a cold
the
day.
gloves and the tag on? And I just said, what did Mark Jackson say? Mama, there goes that man. Okay.
Okay, but let's
Go,
talk about
go,
the tag
go.
on the Off-White Nikes because I've owned some Off-White Nikes before, and this is the first time I've ever actually worn a pair. And I did feel like a bit of a doofus walking around with the big tag on them.
like clinking on it.
Yeah, it was not very practical. I'm boarding the airplane and it's bumping up against stuff.
Here, I guess not even just the off-white one. It's like when you get a pair of shoes. I think when I had gotten the white cement 3s, the remastered one, and it has that big Nike Air orange
Like
tag
the
on the
keychain
side.
almost
Yeah.
looking thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, do you wear it with the shoes? And you
don't
wear
think
it for
so.
like
I'm taking that off.
I don't
You wear it
think
for
so.
like 30 seconds, and then you're just like, no, I'm like, this is stupid.
But does it make the Off-White sneakers less special if you clip the tag off of them?
No, but I think it's a pick 'em, a 50-50. I don't feel strong one way or the other. I literally think if you survey 10 people, 5 people are leaving the tag on, 5 are taking it off.
I'm ready to take it off. And also another disappointing thing, I was so happy to wear those sneakers. I have a stockpile of Oregon Ducks looking sneakers ready to go for big games. And this is the green Off-White Nike Air Force One, the Brooklyn colorway that didn't actually release at the Brooklyn Museum.
Nope.
I have to say, those things creased up right away.
Damn, really?
And it's a little
That's
bit
tough.
disappointing
That's
that
tough.
people are going to go out and pay well over $1,000
That's
for
tough.
the shoe, and it's a grail to people, and it
It's cheap
just
leather.
might fold up on them
So
real quick.
that's tough.
It felt cheap to me. Maybe I needed a 9.5 and not the 10 I was wearing, but it was a bummer to know that People
Wait,
will
almost
go
like a
through that.
one and
Wait,
done.
you've gone all the way down to 9.5 now?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Okay.
I
It's
haven't.
like,
But
it's you find out Brennan's actually a 9.
no. Listen. On this show, right? You
Yeah.
determined, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that I was a true size 10, and we know that Nike Air Force Ones you should be going a half size down.
I know, but I know because you were it's just surprising because you were always a 10.5.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you bought 10s in the Air Force One, the size down.
Always.
But now that you're like, oh, I'm a size 10 in most shoes. Now you're going.
Should
all
I
the,
be-
Now you're going all the way down to 9.5.
Should
And
I
I'm like,
be?
You went.
I kind of feel like I could. I don't know. And maybe had I worn those Off-White Air Force Ones in a 9.5,
So now here's a question.
maybe they wouldn't have folded up on me.
So now where do we go from there wearing them again? Now is it, now I can wear them all the time? Or now it's like, this is a
They're
bummer?
not beat up.
I know, but it's like, are you going to look down and be like, this is a bummer? Or it's like,
Little bit.
the pressure's off. Now I could wear them.
More that it's a bummer.
Okay.
But next time I wear them, tag's coming off.
Okay.
I feel like that's the hardest part because like I feel like we all have shoes that are worth like a decent amount of coin, you know, and it's not even in the thought of my head of like, oh, I just want to resell this one day. It's just there's something about this shoe is very valuable.
Yeah.
It's sitting perfectly in the packaging, and you know, it's almost like it's a
Well-
it's a item, etc. And it's just like, when am I gonna put these on my feet where it actually feels right to wear them in that instance?
Well,
you know?
I did that with the Stash 95s this past episode.
And that's even
On sneaker
crazier though,
shopping?
because
I know
that
it's-
shoe's gonna fall apart.
But
Did they?
they didn't fall apart. They held up. And what you said, like a special, it sounds weird. I only needed it for that episode. I made it through that episode. It was like
You got the feeling you needed.
Gucci is into Air Max 95s. I wore a classic
Did
90.
he compliment you on your Max 95s?
No. Also, he didn't compliment me on my wrinkled shirt, which the comments on YouTube did. But I see what you're saying. That's enough for me now.
Yeah.
Like the second time, they may fall apart.
But you
If
got
they-
what you needed?
Yeah, if they fall apart, I got the content of them not falling apart. Some of us get content.
It's the thing Welty was
Of-
talking about earlier. These
of
days you
falling
flex
apart.
for the internet.
Yeah,
The internet saw
he's
you wearing
still
the shoe.
doing. He's still. I saw him the cold open. He was in the tank top, and he still had the
air
the
burst.
burst bursting.
I remember back in the day, it was kind of like a running joke or almost like a knock on people where they, on Nike Talk, where people would insinuate that people just wore the shoes for their "What did you wear today" photo
Sure.
and then put them back in the box.
Yes.
Right?
On a clean floor inside.
And it's like you didn't actually wear your shoes, and then you're going to try to sell them, you
Well,
know,
someone
down the road. But nowadays, people wouldn't even get mad at you.
someone did though. Like
Wait, they got mad at you for what?
6 months ago or so, I posted me wearing them, the
Which shoe?
95s,
Stash 95s?
Stash 95s, and I think like an hour or two later, I forget who it was, maybe some like OG or I don't know. I'll
Like show us
remember.
the midsole so we know
I'll have
it's
to
real.
go through the receipts. But someone was like, "Wow, people really flexing shoes that are not wearable on the gram," and I said, "Just at me next time." But I don't remember who it was, but I'm happy they lasted that hour for Gucci. It's documented.
What
Now I
would
put
you
them
have
away.
done if they fell apart?
I had one right on deck.
Wouldn't you?
Always ready to go.
What I felt
We're
it
happy
would have
for
been
you.
silly because I would have taken away from. Is
That's-
that what you were asking?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would. I thought it would be like a dangerous move because
It
I feel
was.
like someone like Gucci. I mean, obviously you've done an episode with him before, but real legend in the game where it's like you almost. And I feel like maybe he's the sort of person that, and I don't know, but wouldn't understand the significance of like your shoe falling apart, and it would just be almost like a hindrance to the shoot.
100% agree. Thought about that. Had a pair of Air Maxes right on the side just in case, and also thought to myself, why am I even doing this? A distraction for this shoot is something that I'm
Selfish.
totally not interested in at all. However, they lasted. They lasted fine.
We're happy for you.
Yeah, and we'll see. I don't know when I'm going to bring them out again, but
We look forward to it.
appreciate it.
Can we talk about two more things real quick?
Yeah,
I know we
sure.
have a guest to bring on.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention, I was in LA last week. Fairfax is totally dead. Didn't see Corgi out there, which was a shame. But
Oh, that
people-
would have.
I know.
Dead from the sense of
There's nobody there.
I
Nobody
haven't
there,
been
but
to
are the retail stores still all open? Or?
Yeah, they
How
seem
is
to
Flight
be.
Club? I haven't been there.
Flight Club looks great. The Flight Club remodel looks great.
I
But
need to go back there soon.
people I know in LA are basically telling me that once Supreme left, and now that Supreme's no longer
Did
on
you go to
Fairfax,
the new Supreme?
I didn't have time to go.
Oh.
But that it's a total vacuum there and there's nothing going on.
Really?
And in my short time there, just a few hours, had a meal at Badmash, had a meal at John and Vinny's.
Did Justin Ballas approve it? John and Vinny's approved.
There was nothing going on at Fairfax.
Okay.
The other thing I want to talk about, and we talk about Yeezy every week, but I just want to get our quick reactions to this long New York Times article, something that's been in the works for months now that we referenced on this show months ago. A deep expose on the long history of Kanye West at Adidas and just how far back the weird obsession with Nazi imagery and Hitler goes. As early as 2013, they describe in the lead a meeting
One
where,
of the first meetings?
yeah,
We
he's
didn't know that
drawing
information.
a swastika on a shoe to mark his disapproval.
Here's what I would say about that piece from a reaction standpoint only.
Incredible reporting, obviously.
From a reaction standpoint, I'm interested to see what you guys think. How many times it's been reported in the past, 2 years,
Yeah.
basically on Kanye's dealing with Adidas? I feel like in the sneaker space, the reaction I got from people outside of it calling me, "Did you see the Times article?" That hasn't happened in a while. This, it seemed, maybe it was 4 pages in the Times. Like a family member called me. It was like on Sunday.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm reading, there's 4 pages of this reporting. And in a news cycle that has been so heavy, Kanye Adidas in general,
Yeah.
it does seem like a lot. And I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, some of this reporting was already done. There were still things in here that no one knew.
For sure.
Yeah, I think when I had seen it at first, because I didn't even see the original article, like the way that it popped up. I think
Yeah.
it was like the New York Post pulled one of the bits out,
Sure.
and then like you just see like the aggregate-ness
Yep.
of it,
Yep.
and then when you see that, because we'd heard all these other stories about Kanye doing and saying things in meetings with execs, et cetera, and not to like make light of it, but I was almost confused as to whether this was something that had already been reported before, just because you're like, oh, another one of these, not to make light of any of it, but
Yeah.
you're like, oh, Kanye did that too,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, another bad thing that he did.
I think how early it started.
Yeah.
I think we thought, and what we read is like, oh, it happened recently.
A turn in the past couple
2013.
years.
When
Yeah.
2013 was like one of the first meetings.
Yeah. I feel so bad for all our friends and colleagues in the industry who had to endure this stuff. And I think that wasn't right. The things that they had to go through to work in these conditions. And also, I just knowing now how far back these issues occurred at Adidas, I feel like they should have done something sooner, but it probably got lucrative and quick enough where they felt like it was worth it to kind of tough it out and see what could happen and see if they could deal with this behavior. But man, for it to be happening that far back, I think it's a shame that Adidas did not do something sooner and did not realize sooner what kind of end this could come to.
Or even kind of like, because it was so early on in the whole Kanye, this is like pre-downward spiral
Yeah.
Kanye, where Kanye was always seen as kind of like left field, outlandish, reactionary, black skinhead, like doing
Yeah.
like provocative stuff, where at that point you don't even know if people were just like, oh, that's like a pretty bad, but is that Kanye being Kanye doing something weird
As an artist.
Yeah, weird and edgy at the time, where it's like you're not really putting all the pieces together. You haven't seen like the whole artist's like painting
Yeah.
yet, where it's only like one little piece. And I'm not making an excuse for him or
Right.
anything. It's just maybe people didn't know how to react at that moment. But it's like now, if you see him do something like that, you're like, dude, like, come on, stop, like,
Yeah.
enough.
Shame it had to go that way.
Definitely.
All right. Should we bring on our guest?
Yeah, I think we caught up, ready for our guest. Our guest on today's podcast is a designer who puts an emphasis on sustainability and the reinvention of one product into another through the process of upcycling. She's made a UGG with a Carhartt upper, a high heel with a lamp, and made the first Croc you could actually survive a hike with. When it comes to sneakers, she went from Reebok graphic design intern to having her own Club C Geo, a Vans project, and this week she'll drop her highly anticipated collaboration with Hoka. Here to talk all about her out-of-the-box designs, please welcome Nicole McLaughlin. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having me.
joining us. How you
Long
feeling?
overdue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here.
Big week.
Yeah.
Big week.
Yeah. It's a
When
big
this
one.
drops in the morning, a few hours later, your Hoka collaboration will drop.
That's so crazy that it's actually coming out now. I feel like I've been wanting to talk about it forever, so I'm glad I can.
Amazing.
What do you do on the day when you have a sneaker drop or a product drop?
Not look at my phone
At all?
I get so stressed. I don't know. I just like don't want to keep checking, and then everyone's like saying really nice things and it's all like really exciting, but you're also just like so stressed or nervous about
Overwhelmed?
it. Yeah.
What is the nervous? Is it like if it's going to do well, or like people hitting you up like, oh, I need a pair, or a mix of both?
A mix of both. I mean, I try to be less like concerned now if it's like selling out immediately. I kind of almost think put less pressure on yourself and just hope that all the stuff that you've done leading up it like pays off. But at the same time, yeah, it's just like you're getting hit up and people are like, oh, like, can I have a pair? And it's just you get
Can I have a pair? Not can I buy a pair?
Can I have a pair on release day is wild.
yeah, it's
You
kind of
know?
a crazy thing, or like
That's kind of late.
Yeah,
I'm
come
glad
on.
we're putting that PSA right.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
text me.
Yeah, a week before, come on, at least.
Yeah.
On release day, can I have one when the units are moving? Stop
Or
it.
like, can I buy one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably most of that, but just like random stragglers or friends being like, "What's up? You got any size like 9s around?" Yeah.
You're not going to do any in-store appearances to try and get the shoes out back and give them to people?
Yeah, right. Just bring a truck out back.
Back to
No, we did an event leading up to it, so that was really cool. That was like an opportunity to tap in and be with people and bring people I care about and have the shoes on them. So that was really nice. And it's been a lot of social stuff, which is great. And just seeing it on like every mood board, it's always really trippy when you open your phone and see your shoe there. So yeah.
So we usually start out here by talking about the sneakers we have on foot. So this is a perfect time to talk about it. Can you describe to us what you have on feet here?
Sure. I am honored to say I have my own Hoka collab on. It's the Mafate 3-2 model.
And this is a new model?
It's a new model. Yeah. I am the first collaborator on them.
Wow.
And they just dropped last week. So the 3-2.
What was your into Hoka? Like, where did you first get onto Hoka?
It was in like 2019. I have a pair of those Aura slides, the like
Oh, yeah.
really comfy ones, and those are like my everyday drivers. And I just was like, this brand is really cool. They're obviously like making waves within the footwear space, especially as a newer brand. I think like there's obviously the key brands that we know, but to have that, little extra like special brand in your closet that's not really as well known at the time, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. And then that's how our relationship started. From there, it was just like, just wearing it naturally. And then they hit me up to do a project. So
Is it easier to work with a smaller brand like Hoka versus the big brands you've worked with?
I think so. It's definitely a lot more, you have that line of communication that's really open, and it's a lot easier to figure out like the whole line of the production and kind of know all the people part of the process. So I think that's really cool. I think some of the bigger brands, it's just like things can maybe get lost in translation, or it just moves so fast. So I feel like the smaller brand, it feels like, I don't know, more connective.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, even though you've worked with like Vans and Reebok, et cetera, that working with Hoka now, where the brand is like culturally in the moment, almost feels bigger than working with like the bigger brands that you've worked with?
I think so. I mean, I think they're making such big waves and really leaning into the collaborative space, and even more than some of the brands that maybe you've even mentioned. I think they're on the rise. I think so.
And they're weird too. I like having like weird
Yeah,
shoes, or
same.
stuff where like you can wear them and people don't know what model that is. I mean, we're so like stuck in our sneakerhead ways of like, you see somebody and you know exactly what shoe it is, and that's a shoe we've liked for decades. But to show up in a Hoka or a Solomon and you're like, wait, what is that model? I want to know more about that.
Yeah, I love that. And that was really intentional too. I always try to, my natural style and design style is a little bit quirky and weird. And so just fully leaning into that.
And outdoorsy too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
definitely.
say. How important or how excited are you about to like do a collaboration on kind of like a techie shoe? I think in the past it's been more lifestyle, but this is full ahead tech.
Yeah, I think that was really like my first opportunity to have that technical aspect to it. So like with the Vans, I almost see that more as like my personal work that people know me for, maybe on Instagram. But then the Hoka is more of my personal style and kind of that fusion between the two. So adding the gaiter that has functionality, like if you're in a trail situation, like that would help you. But also it has pockets and like fun little quirky things that also kind of tie back to my design style.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm going to talk about my shoes now. This is funny because I just was like, oh, I like wearing shoes that nobody's ever heard
Yeah.
of, but I have the most obvious sneaker ever
It's
here
a classic.
on. Yeah, New Balance 993. Not that exciting, but I've been, like I said, I've been traveling and
Yeah.
didn't put a lot of effort in today.
Okay. Fastball down the middle, right?
But yeah, we'll call it that. Snakes
Yeah.
alive.
I'm doing the Lorenz OG Dusk Custom Air Max 95. Wore these for the Holland episode back in the day.
Did numbers.
Yeah, just thankful.
Shout out to the good folks at Up There store in Australia. Maybe a place that we can all visit soon.
Taking that long flight?
Who knows? They got another long flight in our way. These are their collaboration on the A6 Gel Light 3. I actually think these are the best Gel Light 3s this year. I know.
I thought you were going to say like ever made. I
No.
was a little worried for a second.
Just this year in Up Brendan's Alley because they're inspired by the kookaburra bird.
Is
Thank
that
you,
your
yeah.
favorite bird?
Yeah.
No,
What?
but big bird guy, right?
I'm a big bird guy.
Oh.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Well, okay, let
Do
me.
you do the
You can call me a
Dynamite?
bird man. I'm not an ornithologist per se, but I am an
Oh my gosh.
addict when it comes to the card game Wingspan,
Okay.
which is a lot of fun. Yeah, and because you took it there, so I'm taking it
Yeah,
there.
no,
I
So
know.
go
That's why.
in,
Hey,
go in.
I lined this up for you.
Yes.
Alley-oop, yeah.
Yep.
So because of that, I know a lot of random bird
Okay,
names.
so not
yeah.
like bird watching.
No,
per
I've
se.
never-
Do you
Like-
have a bird call? If you had one, honestly, what would it be? Like a little whistle or no?
I mean, it would be maybe something duck related, right? Quack
Yeah.
quack.
Yeah,
But
or-
You can go watch this week's episode of
Yes.
Full Size Run with Jim Jones,
Capo.
Bird
Yes.
Gang,
where I
you-
mentioned a couple of birds.
Okay.
Okay.
Mostly, I just know the names of some birds.
That's pretty impressive.
And
though,
maybe
to
their
be
nest
honest,
types and
still.
sometimes like the range of their wingspan
Oh, wow.
in centimeters.
That's
Okay.
a lot of information actually about birds. That's more
exactly.
than most people know.
Thank
Kinda
you,
like
Welty.
blacked out there a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully an Australia trip. Have you ever been to Australia?
No, it's definitely a bucket list. I was trying to do a New Zealand tag on
Yeah.
to that, so hopefully to do both.
I feel like that's a good place for you to test out footwear too. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're in your regular everyday life, do you feel like you're always wear testing things?
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I definitely was wearing these out and doing some trail run hiking and that kind of stuff. I try to, it just like feels right to style it, but then also why not try it out? But yeah, that would be a good place to try it. And also there's a lot of climbing there too.
Sure,
so.
yeah. Did you tweak the shoe much based on your everyday wear and things you learned from wearing it?
Yeah, that was definitely the gaiter aspect. So I never really thought about needing to wear a gaiter when trail running. But now that like where I'm living, there's a lot of rocks, a lot of dust. So that was very intentional. I also wanted to be removable because you don't always need it. And also in New York and LA, other places you'd probably wear it. You might not need the whole gaiter on it.
Do you want people to use your shoes for the functional things? Like, do you care if they're taking real advantage of all those things you put on the model?
I mean, I hope so. That's the goal with it. It's like I could at least share why I use them or why I like them, and hopefully people would want to try it and like get into some sports, like, give it a go. At least they feel like they're prepared for it. But it's not just for that. If you want to just wear it lifestyle, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to do to the shoe? Because a lot of people know you for your work on Instagram where you're making, items into other things where it's like you wanted to do something weird to the shoe, but then Hoka's like, hey, we can't actually do that or that's not possible.
They were fully supportive of it. And I think that's why I loved working with them through the process because no idea was too crazy. So the original concept for it, I made in my studio. I sliced off the part of a sleeve of an Arc'teryx jacket. And I put my ankle in it and kind of used the sleeve as like the cuff for the gaiter. And I made this really makeshift looking thing and I brought it to them and we had a meeting and I was like So I have this idea, and they got it immediately. They were like, yes, we can do this. They don't make gaiters. They don't have that in line. They don't really even do accessories. Like, they're still growing within that space. A lot of progress there. So I think it was a good challenge for them, if anything.
Did you think they were going to say no?
I didn't think they were going to say no, but having worked with footwear brands before, I just know, like, the process could be a little like we start here and end up here type of thing. And it was like my original idea and the final result. Like, if anything, the final result's crazier than my idea.
And to that point, I wanted to know, obviously you're so used to tinkering with things and putting things, like taking them apart, putting them back together, and these new creations. What was one idea in theory that you had on footwear that, like, even like a mock that didn't work out, that you were like almost sure it was going to? Not like a collab per se, but was there any, we see the ones that like have came out, like obviously like the UGG and the Carhartt, like you wouldn't think that this would go together, but was there one like grandiose idea that didn't work that you thought was going to work?
No one's ever asked me that question before, and that's actually a really good one. I'm trying to think. I feel like anytime I'm trying to like have it, I made a shoe that it was made out of wine bags.
Okay.
Stick
Like
with me. Yes.
Slap the bag.
Like slap the bag kind of shoe. And I was like trying to think about like hydration packs like on shoes, like very conceptual, obviously not wearable. And it just kept leaking like water. There wasn't wine in it.
Okay.
That goal was maybe to put some wine in it. But and it just kept leaking everywhere. And so that was really difficult. I ended up finding a way to like seal it, but that was like so many years ago at this point, and I feel like I would have done it so differently now. But
How long will you stay on a project until you're like, it's just not going to work? Will it be months like of tinkering or what?
No, I don't have attention span for
Okay.
that. I'm very fast. Like if I have the idea, I have to make it like immediately.
Got it.
And then if it doesn't work out, that happens a lot, I won't give up the idea or abandon it. I'll kind of just keep coming back to it, or I'll pivot like a shoe halfway. If it's like not working, I'm like, wait, let me put it on my head, and now it's a hat. And like that's kind of just how it seems to work out for me.
Everything gets used.
Yeah, everything
gets used.
Yeah. And projects over and over again too. Like I'll go back to ideas and revisit materials for a second or third time.
So we might still get the wine bag shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slap the
Heard
bag.
it here first. Heard it here first.
Camelback collaboration.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
exactly. that was the thing that I was using for it. It was like
Yeah.
a camelback like hydration pack, and yeah, it was too heavy.
Did you ever learn how to make shoes? Because I know you learned how to sew, and that helped you a lot in being able to create things, but it feels like making footwear is such a different discipline. Did you ever have any training, or how did you figure out how to fit shapes into shoes?
So I started by not having any training, and I would just take my foot and use that as like a last, and then I would wrap material around it, and I would try to find different soles that would match whatever the upper was. I would take soles from existing shoes and cut the upper off and do it that way, and more like Frankensteining. And then after working, so I did like a rotation at the Adidas Brooklyn Farm before they closed, and that's where I really learned how to like properly make shoes. Like they had actual cobblers there, and I don't have all the machines to be able to do like a fully functioning pair of shoes in my studio, but I could get pretty close.
Yeah.
Like usually I can make a sample. That's like my favorite part of the process is I get to make the sample, send it to the factory, and they make obviously a way better version of it.
Yeah.
But it's way easier for me than like trying to do that through CADs and be like, this is how I want it, especially with some of these more
Making
complicated.
a tech pack.
Yeah, exactly. And like I can do tech packs all day, but it's almost like it's easier to see a physical sample for the factory. So
How much did working at the Adidas Farm in Brooklyn up your skills in terms of design?
it definitely, like if I didn't have that, I don't think I'd be doing this.
Really?
Yeah.
It's such a mythical place for some of
Yeah.
us because I
Yeah.
remember the build up to it, and Adidas would talk about it a lot. And I think at some point they even wanted it to be kind of open to the public or more transparent. But working in the media, at least, we felt like we never knew what was
Kind of
going
like
on there.
fizzled out before
Yeah,
kind of heard anything about it.
Yeah. Well, so it was basically Disneyland for designers. And so I was working at Reebok. Adidas still owned Reebok at the time. And it was just like this place that we heard of. And it just sounded so great. So it was like you would go there and you would get to not take 3 months off of work, but basically like it's, you know, you kind of go on this mini design vacation where you're designing stuff for like way future for Adidas. And so like at the time it was 2018 and we were doing stuff for like 2024, 2025. So really far in advance. And well, they opened it up. They came to Reebok's office, and I was like, basically just like, I want to go there. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to find my way there. And somehow they ended up picking me, and I was the first Reebok employee to be able to go and like break the weird tension between the two and go there. And I really had the time of my life because I had already started doing these projects. They were very rough, and I didn't really know how to sew. I was kind of faking it. Like, I was like hand sewing, and I was sort of hot gluing things, and I like kind of knew how to sew. And I went there, and that was like a crash course of 3 months, just like sewing every day, like working alongside people that are really talented.
Who
and
were you
having
learning
this
from
space.
in that space? Who were the people who you looked up to who could give you those skills?
My mentor, I'd say, is Eric Weiss, and he's still like helping me a lot. He actually, like, sometimes if I still need some advice on footwear projects, he's the guy I go to. Joy Yoon, who is the manager of the farm, who's now my manager of my business. So kind of crazy how that worked out. Mark Dolce was there as well, and he was really supportive during my time there. So there was a lot of really incredible people that came out of that, and it's sad that it's gone, but it's cool that I was able to be a part of it.
We always hear stories of like this person came through, this person came through. Was there any that stuck out from like your days there that was like, you know, even at Complex, we had some days when people came through the office. Is there one that sticks out as like, oh, wow, crazy, like sighting?
Yeah, there was quite a few. There was a lot of professional athletes and runners and stuff. But my last day at the farm, I was doing like my closing. We had to like do a presentation, and Kanye showed up.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope it was a positive experience.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So wait, you were presenting and he showed up.
Yeah, it was quite an experience.
Did you have any feedback on your designs?
He had a lot to say about a lot of designs.
Okay.
So, but no, it was just crazy. I just never like would have thought that could have happened. Like, I'd never had been in celebrity presence at that point. And so the fact that it was just like, we were all working one day and then like people would just show up is always really cool. And Clark Kent was like based out of the office too, which was also really cool. He was like our hype man every day. So
I remember going there and seeing some of the stuff that Clark had them put together. Like,
I love that.
What was it? A Bape Adidas?
Yeah, Bape Adidas. I thought the shoe.
The ZX shoe, and
the
he
one
like
right,
had them.
right behind you, actually.
Yeah, these, and he had them put a Boost sole on the
Yeah.
bottom
Oh,
and things
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, they did some really impressive stuff there. And that's where I think Kanye like really loved the farm. And like, I was like, you know, just joking around with him, but he like, just the fact that they were so down to explore and try like doing those mashups. And
Yeah.
at the time, like that was, you know, streetwear was at this crazy peak of mashups and people putting things together. And so I think it was a cool space to be there during that, and a lot of unknown. And yeah.
And also, that's what your work was about at that time as well, right?
Definitely. And they gave me the space to be able to do that. So I think having that break from working at Reebok and having been there for a couple years, and then having that space away from the computer, more
Yeah.
physical, hands-on, and just being around people that were also down to help me figure it out, I think was like the perfect storm for it to work.
Did they all know you at that point that you're working there, but they're like, oh, here's this Instagram famous girl who has all these designs as well? Like, did you have that, like, not reputation, but you know that they realized that that's what you were doing at the time? Or
Yeah, I think they definitely knew going into it, but it was cool because they helped me reach another level during that. And they saw what I was doing. They're like, we like it, and you could be doing it even better, like if you had the skill set. And so that's what we really worked on together. And then I went back to Reebok's office in the start of 2019, and I was only there for like 3 months, and then I quit. So I don't know, like, if that was some weird thing where it was like Reebok was kind of they gave me
they
like
gave you the skills that you needed in order to go
to
back to
be
your
like-
job at Reebok and quit.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that wasn't like worked out in their favor, but it was time. It was time to go. I think everyone kind of knows when it's their time to leave.
For sure. Do you remember the first shoe that you made that went viral? What was that?
I'd say it was the shoe I made out of an LO bean fleece, and I don't know. I look back at it, it was so simple. And I didn't think, I was so nervous to share it too. And people saw it and they were like, wait, is this real? Like, they thought it was real. And that's when I knew. I was like, oh, this is actually good enough that people think it's real. So
Has there been someone that hit you up was like, I need a pair of these, and you've made them like bespoke for that person?
Yeah, I've done a couple of customs. I try, like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to be able to make customs for everyone, but I'll do sometimes for shoots or that kind of stuff. But I've had some athletes. I've had, like, I made a custom vest for DJ Snake's birthday one year. So, like,
Snake's alive.
kind of like random like things like that. But I like to be able to create my pieces and then have them go out for like shoots and stuff, and then they'll send them back, and it's just kind of constant rotation.
But surely people are offering you money for the things you post on Instagram.
Yeah, there's.
But you don't? Do you sell them or?
No, I don't really sell them. I don't know. I never really wanted to.
Yeah.
I always kind of just was like, it was just my side project that became my full-time job. And I don't know. I just never really wanted to make that part the business. Like, I'll work with brands or I'll work with like companies to be able to use whatever leftover stuff that they have. I'll make a piece out of it. That's more like, that's for Instagram. That's how I make money, or collaborations, that kind of stuff. But it never made sense for me to make pieces and sell them, because the labor and like the materials and like all the time that goes into it, it just never felt like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like the value was there. But it's cool to know that people do want to buy it. And that's why I think doing the footwear collaborations is almost like, it's not the piece that you see on Instagram, but it's still coming from the same ideas.
Were other people making them and selling them? Did you ever see something you made on Instagram turned into like a bootleg?
Yeah, probably more times than I would
Really?
have liked. Yeah,
Was
but
it like a pair of like slides or something like that?
yeah, there's a couple of slides that I'm like, I see where this kind of is coming from, but I don't know. I can't like get that mad about it. I think at first I used to get like upset because it's like, you know, instead of ripping off a designer, why not work together with them? But I was like, I'm kind of putting my work out there and it's subject to be taken. So you have to let it brush off, I guess.
How much does thrifting play into kind of the process?
It's a big part.
And how, so I know that you said like attention span. These guys will attest. Every time I try to like go thrifting, it doesn't work out because my attention span isn't great, but I feel like it's such a like tool and talent to have. What are like some of the kind of tips you could give on thrifting?
Okay. So do you do mostly like, do you try to do it in person or do you do it online?
No. Like
His efforts, I'm sure, are minimal.
Joe's buy the like pre-worn APCs instead of like going out and finding the vintage jeans, right?
That's not what you're talking about. That does not count as thrifting.
But it's still like the vibe of getting vintage clothes, but not putting.
I would say like there'll be like a Sunday. I'd be like, I'm gonna go to Williamsburg and hit like the thrift stores and stuff like that. And then it's just like I get there and I feel like either you have to go through every single piece or you're not really doing it right.
Okay. First of all, you have to be fueled and like caffeinated and like ready. Like you have, it's a mindset.
You're treating this like an excursion.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's bird watching. It's a mindset.
I'm in.
All right.
You have to be in for the long haul. So that's step one, because sometimes I'll go into the thrift store and if I'm like overheated or like didn't eat enough, like I'm just can't focus.
Okay.
So first step, be in the headspace.
Yeah.
Then I'd say like focus on like something that you're like kind of more specifically looking for, like whether that's a pair of denim, like Levi's or something.
Leather jacket.
Vintage
tee, yeah.
Almost try to go there for that piece, but like chances are you're not going to find that piece, but like you could find something that's like filling that need or adjacent to that. I do it that way sometimes, or I love accessories, and like this is the grossest thing. So like I love hats, and like I will buy someone's used hat and I'll use it for a project mostly, but sometimes I'll wear them.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Some people think that's gross, and I'm like, you know what, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why I find all these really cool vintage hats. But so like I'll zero in accessories and be like, this is where I'm gonna start. How am I feeling? Can I go down and like go look at some t-shirts? That's sort of like my in-person. I'm mostly an online. Like I love eBay. And so my tip for eBay, especially for shoes or for anything like that, is spelling the name wrong.
Yes.
What?
This is
Spelled-
such a hack. Talk
Wait
about
a
it, Nicole.
minute.
Yes.
What?
Spell the
Wait,
name-
is this like is this do I look like an amateur? I didn't
No.
No,
Go ahead.
Wait,
Nicole.
go in.
Yes.
Because the people that know what they have, who are like probably older and trying to figure out how to use the internet or whatever
Wow.
will spell Reebok, or like Adidas, they'll spell it like completely wrong, or the type of shoe, or just type in like whatever, like VizTech, so any type of like DMX or whatever it says
Writing
on the
that's
shoe.
on the shoe.
They don't know what it is, so they'll just write like, I don't know, this
Reebok
says,
DMX
like,
shoe.
Exactly. And so that's how I found some of the craziest shoes.
All right, we put in Tiffany Dunk, Tiffanie.
I don't know if you're gonna get a cheap
Yeah.
pair of Tiffany Dunks.
All right, well, I'm
I
learning,
think people
okay?
know what they have.
I'm learning. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good tips.
You gotta like go to the suburbs too, or kind of just go
Yeah.
outside of like the beaten path. Like if
For
you're
sure.
going thrifting in Williamsburg, I feel like one, everyone else is going there, and
gonna
two,
see
everyone's
Mangy
gonna
in there.
like, they're gonna charge through the roof for the stuff that they
sure.
have, and then the good stuff isn't gonna make the floor before it even gets there. Am I?
No, you're spot on. I think that's, maybe go to Jersey, go like upstate New York, and you'll find some like kind of more weirder out there stuff.
If you find any Bass Pro Shop tees, look out for him. It's his favorite.
Is that what you're
Yeah,
into?
just put him to the side, get in touch, and then he'll go.
Do a bulk order.
Yeah,
Is that like your style
Bass
now?
Pro Shop, he loves
Are you a fisher? Are you a
I don't
fisher?
In the
know.
same way that I'm a bird watcher.
Yeah. No, I think just like, I don't know, my foot, like living in New Hampshire and being outdoorsy and just being into that sort of stuff. I guess I'm wearing a Filson shirt now, so
That's cool.
It's a vibe.
it's a vibe. Yeah.
I like that.
Did you ever find a really good vintage spot? You know, maybe we don't want to blow up the spot, but a Goodwill that was particularly rich in goods, or a
feel
Value
like-
Village that you really came up at? And how much are you grabbing shoes at these places?
Shoes. I've maybe a little less now. I just have a lot of shoes, but I'll try to buy stuff that I can wear and then turn into projects. So I always try to find things that are like versatile in that way. But I feel like I found a lot of good thrift stores when I lived in Boston.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I would drive to like New Hampshire,
Yeah.
Vermont, or like go to more of those like untapped towns. Connecticut, because I would drive from New Jersey to Boston, and like Connecticut's the longest state, and I would
Yeah.
literally like
it's like
stop.
3 hours to go
Takes
through.
I
forever.
went to
and-
UConn.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was in Connecticut this weekend.
Were you?
Yeah.
You didn't check in with me. I would have told them to say that you were coming. What part?
The New Haven, I guess.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't really know anything.
Sorry
about
for the
Connecticut.
interjection. But yeah.
I used to be a big fan of going to unique thrift stores. They have like a bunch of locations in New Jersey, but that's always where I used to like feel like I'd find the cool stuff.
Have you been to Udelco in New Jersey? That's
No.
like an old. That one I think is a little bit more popular now, so I don't feel bad like name dropping it. But
That's the spot.
you might have a panic attack in there if you're not sure about thrifting.
So that's what I'm thinking. You said heavily caffeinated, but also that'll make me more jittery than I already am, which not great.
Right? Like, gotta find the levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a group outing there this weekend.
You guys are.
No, and you.
I'm down.
Yeah, she's like, what? Yeah. That's all she
I could
needs.
show you my-
New York, we're gonna go, all four of us. He, with the Bass Pro Shop, I'll have the coffee. You doing the bird watching. Yeah, it'll be great.
You could probably find some cool like, bird sweaters
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Just outside the store looking at birds.
Yeah, I'm down.
They're gonna be like, this is like a fever dream group of people.
Exactly. Imagine.
Here.
A Hoka collab. This is what she gets. No, she
Yeah.
ain't going with us. Jersey.
I was surprised. I went to Foot Locker on 34th Street last week, and I walk in, and the Hoka section was so much bigger than it either used to be or was recently. And I walked past, and the salesman on the floor just says to me, he goes, "So you're looking for can I get you a new pair of Hokas?" And I was just like, genuinely not. We see Hoka get bigger, but I was just kind of shocked that like Foot Locker on 34th Street, that Hoka's like one of their like top selling brands at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious for you guys because you're the experts in this space. Like, what do you think caused that? Like, is there some type of trickle down? Like, I guess we were talking about it before, whether it was like the big brands that kind of know it best, but then is there a lag? Do people feel like there's just too much of that, or like, what are your thoughts on that?
I do feel like people think there's too much of that, and I think to some extent people have been alienated by the top tier of sneaker hype that we exist in and that we perpetrate to an extent. But just people want something different than a giant swoosh on their shoe or the limited Travis Scott shoe. And even with Adidas, these models that we've known for years of wanting to have something different. And then the whole outdoor trend, which I don't have to tell you about, obviously. And then also I feel Hoka's running shoes played into it as well. Like, I feel like the first couple pairs of Hokas I had were running shoes. I just think they have a lot of factors coming together.
I think that one is obviously the parity in the market with these other brands being like on a hot streak recently. But I also think like you look at Hoka and you look at On, and it's people who do not have sneaker shows or a sneaker podcast. They just want like the best pair of sneakers that they feel is like comfortable. And once you see that on the street and you see so many of them, it's like these people do not care respectfully about the rarest 95 or the rarest New Balance. They just want like everyday shoes. And when you see them so much, it's like, unless all these people are wrong, there's something here.
Yeah.
What pair of sneakers that you've done for a collab that your folks were like most excited about getting a pair of?
I think maybe the Reeboks, only because they knew that better than anyone else. Like they knew my time there because that was my first job out of college, and so like I think for them it almost was like the craziest full circle moment, especially because when I left the job they were pretty stressed.
They were skeptical.
Yeah, they were really skeptical. Like they got what I was doing, but they were more like they were the mindset of like, you have a corporate job, you've made it, like that's you work for a brand that has a name,
Settle in here.
Yeah. So I think that made them feel like more real about it. And then my dad liked the Vans because they had like all the little tools and stuff. He was pretty down for that.
The Reebok was a big one too because it had your name on it. That was
Yeah.
such a huge step, right?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I think like the coolest thing about that too is being able to go back and work with them and work with all the same people from that perspective. Because I used to work, I was a graphic designer when I was there, and I did graphic design for collabs. So I would do like the Palace collabs and like do all the graphics and stuff for that. So then to come back as a collaborator and work with the same development team and like know the process, I was like, I feel prepared. That was the biggest thing. It was like, I don't want to like jump the gun too early and like start working with brands when I don't have my own identity or I don't understand the process enough. So the fact that I was like, I know every step of this process and I know the people that are going to help me through it, it almost made me feel like, yeah, I was ready for it.
Despite it being your first shoe, you already knew all the tools.
I guess the Crocs was technically my first collaboration, but I'd say the Reebok it's the first sneaker, and there's
Right.
a lot more involved in that.
Was my name like mentioned at the Reebok office ever, or like was
Did
my
you ever
photo?
work on
was
any
my
materials
photo,
with him?
photo up there on a dartboard or a mood board, or which one?
Why did you work?
No.
I was like,
No.
like
Just
you-
a period
you're
of
the
time
muse.
where I
Yeah.
wore Reeboks. a
Yeah,
lot.
he was a Bach boy. Yeah. How big was the Carhartt UGG?
It's pretty big.
Like, just looking at that, going through some of the hits you had, that one, maybe because I like Carhartt a lot. Talk us through that idea and that process a little bit. It's just as kind of like one of the, besides the official collabs, like the template products you made.
That one's a good example because that's sort of how I see my personal work, where it's like the UGG, which is like very classic, very like everyone knows that shoe, especially it's made such a resurgence, and it's brown, and like there was so many things about it that I was like, I see Carhartt, like
Yeah.
Carhartt brown, like also a classic brand, everyone knows it, let's put them together, especially because like UGG has a little label on the back heel, and it like reminded me of the Carhartt label. So it felt so natural. And that's really how I try to do my projects. I don't like to force things. Sometimes it's so simple, like right in your face. And I made this like cover basically that goes on top of the UGG just to see if it would work, if it made sense. And it did. It's a men's size 10. So I don't know what size shoe you are, but
I'm a 10.
I'm
You're
a
a 10.
As
Yep,
as
yep, we
released on
measured
this
his feet,
show.
yep.
Maybe even a 9.5.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I love that one. Really good.
thank you.
Have you been to any factories? Have you got to that part in the journey of getting to go to factories in Asia where they're making your shoes, or do you aspire to? Is that interesting to you?
I've been to factories, but not for my own personal stuff when I was still working at the company. And that was a really cool experience. And that actually got me more into the world of sustainability, I'd say. And that's sort of what helped me tap into that, was just seeing how things were made, having more of an appreciation for it on a factory line. But it would be really cool to go back as like now that I'm creating it and see my own shoe
Definitely.
being made on
Yeah.
the line would be pretty wild.
In terms of it influencing what you want to do you mean like seeing the amount of waste that was produced? And I know that's a big part of your work, trying to take advantage of that and reuse that.
Yeah, I think just in general, like seeing that side of the industry is just like a lot of things get scrapped when there's still a lot left to it. A lot of times sampling, especially with shoes, it's only a half a pair of shoes. It's usually not the right color, not the right material, or something stub on it. And so that's the first thing that just gets thrown away. And so for me, I'm like, this is opportunity. Like I could use that sole, I could use that upper for something else, laces, whatever. And so that sort of helped me kind of go on this mission and find that balance of like, I know what it's like to work at a big company and how difficult it is to do upcycling at scale.
Yeah.
But then also as an individual and as a consumer, I see the need for it. And so trying to sort of bridge that gap. And every project I do is a step closer in that direction where it's like all my personal stuff, fully sustainable. It's easy to do it that way. Shoes at scale, on the other hand, is a lot more
Right.
challenging. So how can I find that balance?
Do you ever get rid of stuff? Because like how
my
this
God.
sounds like such a hoarder thing, and like I
sort of a
understand the
hoarder.
value in reusing things and keeping them and taking things that were going to be thrown away. But like when doesn't that affect you on a personal space level, or how do you decide to finally move on from an item?
Oh my God, I'm getting called out for being a hoarder.
No, I'm asking you. If you're not, then I understand.
I am for sure. It's really hard. Well, so I take, like I was saying, the projects, I take them apart and I'll be able to reuse them again. So I do see value in keeping things. At some point, this industry just like learned that I liked garbage, and they just kept sending me boxes of their
So every brand is
stuff.
sending you leftovers.
That always industry dumpster. That's
Okay.
me. And I'm fine with that. I'll take it all. And then eventually it got to the point where I was like, okay, this is way too much stuff. And so I started to connect. And then I'd have students being like, how are you getting all this material? Like kids at FIT or Pratt or whatever. And they're like, I don't know how to buy these materials or where to find them, whatever. So then I was like, okay, Arc'teryx, a brand partner of mine, they're like, we have all this leftover stuff. What can we do with it? Connect them with the school, do a workshop. Like, it's so simple to be able to connect those dots.
Yeah.
It's just people don't know or don't think to do it, I guess. So I feel like I was just sort of like pushing all the partners that I was working with. If you have leftover stuff, I have people that want it. So I'm not taking everything, but I do take a lot of stuff.
I feel like people thought maybe you worked at Arc'teryx or something along those lines.
I'm their brand ambassador for design. So they only have one. It's me, which is cool. But I'm not a creative director there, but I do have a lot of say and input, I guess, within the sustainability part of the brand. They take back and fix gear. So that's like a big program of theirs is re-gear. And so we'll do workshops, or I'll go in and I'll help them kind of come up with solution-based designs of how to figure out what to do with it. But they're pretty good in terms of pioneering within sustainability. So
And the Arc'teryx logo is
a dead bird.
a bird.
There we go. Full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Bringing it back to life.
Not your collaborative work, but I know a lot of your like personal work, a lot of design kind of like out there, and like people always have something to say about some of it. I think you did one of the shoes lately where you put like a piece of fruit in it, and everyone's like, "Who's this woman who's taking
God.
fruit and eating it off, out of her shoe?" Do those comments like get to you, or like what's one that you remember where you're like, "Oh, that didn't go so well on the internet"?
That one didn't go
Yeah.
so well. That was so funny to me though, because it was like, I'm always going to do the wildest thing, but like, you don't have to be doing all that. Like, it's just kind of like, that's shitty to say. Can I say that?
Yeah, yeah.
It's shitty to say, but like, that's how you get views on the internet, is by like taking the covers on your shoes, zipping them off, zipping them into a bag, and then putting a piece of fruit in it. First of all, that was the inside, so that never touched the ground. There was no contamination.
It was not hygienic.
But it's more like, wear them outside, put rocks in them. Like it's a concept, it's conceptual art. People take it so seriously sometimes, and I think it's funny now. I used to be like needing to explain myself every time, but now I'm just kind of like,
You're putting out like an apology tweet or something
yeah, right.
like that.
I'm like, so sorry guys.
Listen, big week. Congratulations. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Where can they get the collab with Hoka?
Thank you. Hoka.com is going to be selling them on the 3rd, and select retailers. Please support my shoe if you like them. And
Definitely don't text her asking for a
don't text me
pair.
asking
Especially
for a pair.
day
Maybe
of.
wait till the day after, but day of, I'm going do not disturb.
There we go.
Very good. Thank you, Nicole. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again. All right, everyone. This has been the Complex Sneakers Show. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Please like, subscribe, and comment. We will see you next week.